Hi there and welcome back. Following our successful repair of the engine, cylinder head, valves, fitting the timing belt, etc, and service, last thing to do on the car is the front brakes. So I'm going to do a little video on front brakes on a Citroen C3. This car is 2011, so it's 11 plate, 2011, 2010, 2011 model year, that sort of year. But pretty much all front brake discs and calipers are very similar. The fixings might be different. You might have hexagon heads, you might have Torx. In this case we've got a mixture of both, but generally it's a fairly straightforward job. I've already done the offside on the driver's side and I'm just going to tackle the near side. So without further ado, let's have a go. So I've got the caliper off and the disc needed some heat because it's tight on this boss around here on the hub, but not only gentle heat. You don't want to go mad because there's a brake sensor, ABS sensor behind there. There's a plastic shroud and a cable. It's in a cast housing, but nonetheless you don't want to go mad, and I can touch that. It's not that hot, but it was enough just to expand the disc to get the disc off. Basically it's just rust between the two surfaces. The caliper itself is held on with these T55 Torx screws, and they are held in with some Loctite or some thread locker on them. There's no replacements. I haven't got any replacements, so I'll put the same ones back with some thread locker when I put them back in a minute. So that's the brake caliper off. Then I've just hung the brake caliper up on the spring on a piece of wire just to stop it from sort of hanging on the brake hose. So that's really important. And now I'm going to separate the piston with the slider. So that is two, I've already slackened them, but it's two 13mm screws. And now we've got the caliper off, so it's ready to go. The brake shoes on it, or the brake pads on it, are in exceptionally good condition. So I think someone's not long ago changed those, but the discs, if I show you the disc, there's quite a lip on the disc. If you can see that with my fingers, there's quite a lip there. So I've opted to change them because we're going to sell the car, and it will be a selling point that we've done the brakes on it. So all I've got to do now is just clean up the caliper with a wire brush and lubricate it. Same with the piston side, give that a clean, give it a bit of lubrication, and then we refit everything. Okay, so I've given the caliper a clean up, and I've cleaned all the little spring clips in here and put some lubrication in them as well, some anti-brake, anti-seize stuff, and added the new pads in. The old ones weren't particularly worn, so they've not been in there that long by the look of it. My daughter never had them done, but nonetheless, it wasn't hardly worn. But as I said already, the brake disc is quite worn. So yeah, I think it's a good job done. We'll get it out of the way. So the next thing now is to put the disc on. Right, before I put the disc on, I'm going to just spray some anti-seize around the hub, so next time it gives it half a chance of coming off a bit easier. Bit in those holes there, bit in the stud holes. This is copper grease, by the way. This is spray copper grease. Okay, now as always with brake discs, you must clean them with some solvent, because they will have some anti-rust protection on them. It might be oil, it might be grease, it might be some kind of resin. and I'll do it 3 or 4 times eventually. I'm just going to make the worst, get the worst off while I can get all the way around the disc. Sometimes you can't get to the disc at the back when there's a shield on the back, sometimes on some cars. So I always just do this first, so that it's done. So yeah, there we go. And don't worry about getting greasy fingers on it, because you'll do it again before you finish. And then just a little bit of anti-seize on the back of it, give it half a chance, and it should easily go back on. And you've got to find the little screw holes to locate, there we go, to locate the retainer screws. And that's these here, these little screws. There we go. And just give them a bit of a nip up. They don't need a lot, because you might never get them undone again. The wheelie's going to hold them on anyway, so you haven't got to worry too much about that. My solvent cloth back on it. There we go. Right, next thing is to refit the caliper and piston. I said already, I'm going to use some thread locker for the threads, but you don't need a lot, because you could quite easily lock it in forever and never get it out again. So let me get that sorted out. Right, I'm just going to hang the bolt in first, just to get everything where it needs to be, and then come back to the tightening sequence shortly. Okay, there we go. So, brake calipers in, and I don't know if I can show you, but around the back we've got the Torx T55s there, top and bottom, and we've got the 13mm hexagon here for the caliper, and I'm going to do those up first. They're 35 Newton meters. Okay, so I'm using Loctite 270, if you can see that. That is thread locker and bearing glue actually, but this is good enough for brakes. I'm happy with that. It's not too strong. It should come off, if you don't put too much on, it should come off fairly easy next time, but it will stop it from undoing itself, which is the important thing. Now put some on the bottom one, just a little dab, just enough, just to lock it without going mad. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to nip them up to start with, of course. Don't do too tight, get them both seated down, and then it's a case of torque wrench time. 35 Newton meters for these two. And then finally the big ones. Get some Loctite on the threads. And these are 70 Newton meters. These large ones. So not as tight as you might think. And now it's all done. Fitted. Next thing is to just give the brake disc a degrease, check pedal travel, take up the piston play, because obviously the piston is pin pushed back to get the pads out, and that's right back in its housing. So just gently dab the brakes just to get the piston out, make sure that it's not binding when it's at rest. Refit the wheel. Here we go, and there we go, job done. Okay, wheels on, and the torque setting for the wheel studs is 120 Newton meters, and cross pattern just so that it seats squarely. One check, that's all it needs. Wheel trim, get the valve in the right place. And the job is done. So there you go, front brakes, as easy as that. And yeah, that is done. The car is ready to go back on the road. I've got an engine management light to clear off, so I'm going to dig in with that in a second. I'm assuming that that is to do with the cam belt fail, but yeah, till I get in there I'm not going to know. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, hope the video was of use to you, and if you like what we do and want to follow our mechanical adventures, then please like and subscribe as always. Every little helps for us. If you could do that, that'd be great. Okay, so yeah, without any more on this, I'll say bye for now. Take care.